6 or myself at AndyMC81 during the game with your questions and comments, what you think, and we'll read the best ones out on air. So make sure to join the conversation. Use hashtag RockChat to get in on that. We're moments away from the opening face-off here. Toronto Rock in their blue, red, and white uniforms. The Edmonton Rush, white, black, and silver. In goal, Aaron Bold for the Rush and Nick Rose for the Toronto Rock. Interesting, we see right off the bat Pat Merrill taking the opening face-off, Dan. Something we talked about in previous games, the struggles on face-offs where Stephen Hoare's usually the man. They're going right with Patty Merrill.
And that's a good face-off man in Thompson. He's sitting 5th and 85 loose balls. He's accomplished in the face-off circle. So right away, good job by Patrick Merrill.
Two of the best goaltenders in the league, top 5 in goals against average. Nick Rose sits 2nd at 10.29. Bold 4th at 10.37. Rock with possession here. The captain feeds Garrett Billings, puts his shoulder down. A little drop back to Evans, going for the screen. Kick stop as the shot clock expires. And physicality getting turned up early here. Kyle Rubish, the assistant captain, with the quick dump off. Too hot to handle, takes the bounce off the boards. Edmonton looking for their first drive.
That was pretty close to the 8-second violation there.
Yeah.
I'm sure they heard about it from the bench.
Edmonton here, of course, the hot shot rookies, Mark Matthews, Curtis Knight, to go along with Kyle Rubish. On defense, Chris Corbeil, Captain Jimmy Quinlan, great Edmonton squad. And Toronto rumbling up the floor here. But Dan, Edmonton typically known for their defense and not being overly aggressive on offense. That's really changed this year with their offseason additions.
Yeah, for sure. Coach Keenan builds his teams from the goal out, and this is no different, but he's put together one potent offense out there.
Tiptoeing along the crease, one top shelf. And a miss there, and Sean Evans grabbing the ball in the near boards. Blocked down. Gonna make that Scott Evans, and coming back up the floor. Here's Edmonton. Edmonton rolling. Dish once, twice, and a stop. Rebound. Nick Rose again. He lost sight of it. One more time they go after, above the net. And Nick Rose stood tall on 3 tough shots. And now Edmonton will regroup.
Yeah, not something that Edmonton wants to see is Rosie get hot early like that. So I think they're going to try to keep the pressure on him and see if they can get to him early.
Captain Jimmy Quinlan on the floor. Tries to set a pick and get some room for Greer. Watch out for Zach Greer. One of the grinding forwards on this Rush club. Dumped it back in as the shot clock expires here. 12:45 to go, no score in the opening quarter here on the Lacrosse Network. Blaine Manning, stutter step along the line, gives it to the weak side. Colin Doyle, quick pass, and Toronto Rock having trouble penetrating here. Billings was looking for some room. A little soft touch to Bearns. Shot right on, but no traffic. And if you let Aaron Bold see those shots, he'll stop it all day long.
Solid goaltender back there, and they're doing a great job with ball pressure. They need to watch Casey Bearns. With that active, aggressive defense, Casey Bearns is very good at slip picking and finding space.
There's Corey Small, as we mentioned, 4 goals, 3 assists in the win over Buffalo less than 24 hours ago. Nice birthday present there. Went 5-hole, another stop by Rose. There's Bill Greer. Rushing up the floor, trying to get off. Nice outlet pass. It's a 2-on-2, and now Edmonton quickly gets back up the floor. Damon Edwards heads off to the bench. There's Josh Sanderson. Nice season Sanderson's having. Leads the team in goals with 22. Casey Bearns backdoor. It's what he does. But squeezing the pads together was Aaron Bold. Here come the Rush. Finds Cornwall. And rears back. Went for the bouncer. Over the top, and it didn't fool Jeremy Thompson's shot. Didn't fool Rose out into the crowd. Play back underway, tiptoeing along, and Rose is red hot early, denying Jarrett Davis. And Stephen Hoare waiting here. He'll head off the floor. Here's Garrett Billings. He moves from right to left. Crisp pass received by Manning. 12 on the shot clock. Nobody in front of Bold again. Toronto having trouble getting traffic in front of the big goaltender. Stefan LeBlanc winding through, underhand toss over the top. Just ran out of real estate there on the baseline. And again, another shot clock violation. LeBlanc loses his stick.
And that's just great Edmonton defense there. You know, they had the ball pressure on. There was no easy shopping for the offensive players. They took away time and space effectively there.
There's Corey Small trying to center up. Gets rid of it. Watch out for Jared Davis again, and they're going to count it As Nick Rose leaned to the side, the net came off a bit, and then we'll have another look. Beautiful feed to the weak side.
And I think Damon Edwards is going to want that one back, especially when he gets to the bench and hears from Coach Sanderson. Just basically lost sight of Matthews, who just slips in the back door there, and a quick feed across, and Matthews isn't going to miss from there.
Well, Mark Matthews with his 33rd goal makes him tied for second in the league. A big hit on the far boards. But I liked your comment earlier, Dan, on John Grant Jr. with Mark Matthews. Snuck out the back door, you didn't notice him, and he just delivers.
Yeah, and he's such a big body. Like, how you lose track of him on the floor, he's got to be a key for the Toronto defense. But there he is, slipping and finding space.
Here's Greer with the drop. Turner receives. Went for the give and goal on the right side. Curtis Knight couldn't come up with it. Another rookie. Knight slammed. Listed at 5'10". That might be a bit of a generous listing, but he's a tenacious player. No quitting in number 9, that's for sure.
He is all heart. He's one of those guys, you want him on your team.
1-0 the score for the Edmonton Rush. We are under 10 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Garrett Billings looking for a lane, getting pushed back though. Sidearm screen off the mark. Picked up and taken by Kyle Rubish. Kyle Rubish galloping up the floor. He has Toll with him. And a shoulder stop, stick side. Nicely done. Taking care of LaFontaine's effort.
And if Edmonton's feeling this back-to-back, they're not showing it right now in this first quarter. They're pushing the pace and getting some good transition opportunities.
I think that's where we're going to see third and fourth quarter, how that Toll and Buffalo came. A relatively easy victory, doubling up the Bandits 14-7. Garrett Billings puts it one time, trying to get Bold to go post to post. He did. Couldn't finish, though. 3 on the shot clock. And it will expire. Edmonton ball. 9:02 left. A fast-paced opening quarter. And we'll take the TV timeout here. 1-0 the Rush. Lead the Rock. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
You do it because you and the guys have certain duties as proud Canadians. To make a big splash with a
I mean, are we kidding me right now? Do you really think that you being on a phone?
Tonight's game is brought to you in part by Reebok. Redefine your game with Reebok's new Black Line. Reebok Black was designed and engineered for the elite lacrosse player. Reebok's Black Line features a lightweight and minimalistic design with carbon light technology. Performance-driven, technology-driven, NLL proven. Find all the new Reebok lacrosse gear online at ReebokBlack.com. Andy McNamara alongside Dan Ladisser. Thank you so much for joining us here. It's a Sunday main event in the National Lacrosse League. The Edmonton Rush lead the Toronto Rock 1-0 Edmonton ball. 9:02 to go in the opening quarter. And the Rush have done a fantastic job on defense, keeping the Rock out of the way of goaltender Aaron Bold. Ryan Ward loses his stick. Rush making some quick maneuvers, trying to get Nick Rose to go post to post again. Long outlet pass, too hot to handle for Damon Edwards. Rolls out of his stick. Corey Small gives chase to him.
And I mean, that's Chris White just took a slashing penalty on Mark Matthews behind the play, and maybe trying to set a tone with Matthews, maybe trying to get in his head a little bit. But let's face it, this kid's seen all this before.
Yeah.
This is the same old song and dance. You're not getting him off his game with a slash behind the plate like that. So
kind of an old soul when it comes to lacrosse, doesn't he? He's like you said, he's seen it all, and
he's seen double teams, he's seen triple teams. This is nothing new to him. So we'll see what they can convert on this and make Whitey pay for that mistake behind the play.
Matthews on the floor, number 42. Makes his move to the low post, circling back, trying to create a screen. There's Corey Small out front. Keep your eye on Matthews now on the right. Moves so good for a big man and unleashes it. Rose up to the task. Minute 40 to kill for Toronto. Matthews receives from the top. Gets to the left wing, went 5-hole. Behind the back, beauty! Wow, Zach Greer made something out of nothing, and it is 2-0 Edmonton on the power play.
I think we're going to see that on some highlight reels here.
Yes, sir.
You can just see Chris crashing that so hard. Clean pickup in the crease there. Comes around with a backhand. He puts a backhand low right at Rosie's feet there. Bounce shot into the far side. It's great goal. And Zach Greer's actually having a great little comeback or resurgence, if you want to call it. Being very productive for Coach Keenan and the Edmonton Rush.
Yeah, great point. His 18th of the year. That is on the power play, so that goal costly, and Edmonton not letting up, not for a moment. Being triple teamed there in the slot. And Kyle Belton, the rookie of the week, racing his way, trying to get over for that 8-second violation. He's being hacked to bits by Davis. Still Belton being manhandled. Now we have a whistle. Looks like a hold.
I think Edmonton got caught on a hold there. Again, same thing, that you take one hand off the stick and it hits anywhere on the back, they're going to call that. It's pretty straightforward. So Toronto now has a chance to get a little bit of payback with their PP.
And Jarrett Davis will head to the sin bin for a couple. The shot stand, 10-3 in favor of the Rush. Dominating so far is Edmonton. Toronto getting their chance here. Garrett Billings with a whole lot of room, found a space. Didn't fool Bold though, went near side, hugged that post. Edmonton running up the floor the other way. They'll wait, try to kill up as much time as possible. Minute 38 to kill for the Rush. And even on the penalty kill, the Rush are still looking more aggressive. Like they're attacking. That's that Derek Keenan style. Go, go, go. Here's Zach Greer. Had that goal over the top, was redirected. Was trying for the long out screen. Ate up a few seconds anyway. Fresh 30 for the Toronto Rock. A minute 14 on the power play for Toronto. Blaine Manning on the floor. Casey Bierns, he moves out, dishes to Manning. Back to Billings. Toronto circling it around the arc. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Now Manning sets a pick, trying to get the move on. To Doyle, one touch, and trickles in off of Bierns' shot. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. 2-1 Edmonton.
Edmonton sort of ran the same set the second time down the floor with a lot of movement and a seal at the top, which just creates some difficulty in the defenders in that they got to work to get through that seal. And as soon as that seal gets slipped into the middle, the guy in the crease has got to commit to that. And Casey Bierns was able to find that little seam once the defender committed up, and quick stick there on the crease, which is Casey Bierns' bread and butter.
Oh, absolutely. So, power play goal for each club. Zach Greer got it done for Edmonton. Casey Bierns for Toronto. And you see it just trickle through. Bold made that original stop. And now in the faceoff, there's a scrum in the faceoff circle. And these two clubs, how bad do they both want it? Each one already guaranteed a playoff spot. A much different feel for Edmonton than a year ago, where it came down, if I'm not mistaken, to the last week, I think. That's going to be an over and back. It will be Toronto ball. The last week of the season before Edmonton clinched a playoff spot in 2012. Here's Garrett Billings, Toronto Rock on the move! And Aaron Bold, he made sure he was full against that post and going after Nick Rose back the other way. And you see a little Chuck Liddell move there by Dilks, making it 3-1 Edmonton.
Simple pick and push there. He's got such great speed and good patience with the ball as well. Just pulling Rosie right across his net, making him take that big step and then finding the 5-hole.
With a nice underhand toss too. Nothing fancy, just got it done. 5:50 to go. Dilks' fourth of the season, you see that. play back underway. Quinlan, he'll head off the floor, the captain of the rush. There's Mark Matthews. Put to the weak side. Matthews makes his move behind the net. Keep an eye on him, of course, all the time. Corey Small with the shot. Rose lost sight of it. Was in between his legs. And great swim move by Jesse Gamble. Jesse Gamble rumbling up the floor. And Gamble heads off. We know how dangerous Jesse Gamble can be for Toronto. What a weapon he has become for the Rock. Garrett Billings underhand toss, spinning wildly. And Behrens couldn't get a clean shot away. Outlet pass by Bold.
The fact that Behrens caught that ball in traffic, that was something else.
LaFontaine coming back. And a long lob. Garrett Billings outside the line. He'll wait in the neutral zone. Backs his way in. Now pressuring in Edmonton territory. Over the head of Billings, off the glass. Finding Evans. Evans trying to muscle his way through. And he went for, I'm not sure if that's a shot or the pass, but it was above the head of everybody. LeBlanc was able to corral it in after. Billings sidearm whip. Off the mark one more time. Shot clock violation, fresh 30 for the Rush. And I can't believe it already. We're at the second media timeout here. 4:37 to go in the first quarter. 3-1 the Rush lead. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
TLN SMS alerts are the best way to stay up to date with the latest videos from the Lacrosse Network. Be the first to know about all of our live games, giveaways, and videos by getting TLN alerts straight to your phone. To sign up, just click the phone icon in the top right corner of our channel and input your mobile phone number. Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network for the best in lacrosse content.
Rock and the Central Ontario Building Trades Association and their Hammerheads program really allows some underprivileged kids around the city of Toronto to get a chance that the rest of us kind of take for granted. I come from a family heavily involved in trades and unions, and my dad's an iron worker and so is my brother. So it hits close to home for me that Hammerheads is allowing kids that wouldn't really have an opportunity to do this before, and then to earn an apprenticeship and make good money and be able to support their family.
Canada's Best Store Fixtures provides furniture, fixturing, and merchandising aids for retailers of all sizes. Whether you have an idea for a retail concept or a store chain of 1,000, Canada's Best has the team, the solutions, and the horsepower to get you to the finish line. And be sure to stay up to date on all the Rock news with this game's edition of the Rock Report, complete with an authentic autographed photo of one of your favorite Rock players.
Best online radio coverage of the National Lacrosse League. You can now listen to the NLL radio on your smartphone. Just download the popular TuneIn radio app. That's TuneIn, and find NLL radio under the More Sports section. Hear the latest episode of every show anytime on your phone. For more info, visit NLL.com/radio. Andy McNamara alongside Dan Lattiser. 3-1 the score. Rush up on Toronto with 4:37 to go in the first quarter.
Is the lucky round.
And Dan, what we have is our first Twitter question came in from at ScottArnold12. Of course, we're using the hashtag RockChat for this game. You can tweet either of us your questions or comments through the game. I like this one. Scott says, at AndyMC81, who do you think would win in a tilt between at Dizzle D6, that's you, Dan, and the calendar boy, Boldy77, that's goaltender Aaron Bold. Hashtag both jacked and RockChat.
Oh, I think Boldy's jacked. I'm not. And he's just too nice a guy. I don't think that would ever crack off.
Greer with the whip right on to Nick Rose. And that's a tough one, Scott. You know what? I'm going to go with my partner here, Dan Lattiser, because he's a lot closer to me than Aaron Bold. So I'm going to say Dan and play it safe. And you can, of course, tweet me at AndyMC81 and Dan at Dizzle D and the number 6 during this game using hashtag RockChat. And we'll try to answer the best questions and comments on air. Behind the back toss, Rock with possession here. 5 on the shot clock. Losing it to Billings. Swim move. Can he get it off in time? On the crease, 1 second. And Bold had to make a tough stop with 1 second left on the shot clock.
Billings and Josh Sanderson really connecting there, getting the defenders having to move their feet quite a bit, and that's kind of the game that Josh Sanderson wants to get. Just a little bit of space, and he'll be able to put that ball in. So it's good to see those two connecting.
Edmonton with possession. Damon Edwards going after Mark Matthews. Corey Small with the lane. And the double team on Matthews lets someone like Small get some extra room, Dan, and that's one of his benefits.
Yeah, that's what we talked about in the pregame. Like other players are going to shine, and they're producing when they're given those opportunities. So throwing a double on Matthews isn't always the answer.
Well, and Matthews was looking for a penalty on that. Edwards going right after him. Rock trail by 2. make that trail by 1. The captain, Colin Doyle, with the give and go a couple feet outside the crease.
Nice little pick and roll there with Doyle, and I know Devin Ray's not going to be happy with the defensive effort on that. It looked like just a lack of communication. Both players jumped the ball here on this, which isn't a typical Edmonton style, and Doyle just rolls to the net, and again, you've Colin Doyle in the middle. I like his chances.
Captain Colin Doyle have another look at this one, and you see right out front, went far side and buried it. Action back underway here with 2:52 left in the first quarter. Give the assist to Stephen LeBlanc. And the shot still, though, did 17-7 in favor of Edmonton.
You know, and that's the Edmonton style defense here.
Offsetting penalties here.
Yeah, a little bit extra stick work there after the draw. Johnston and Thompson just getting to know each other a little bit.
Saying a friendly hello. Nothing wrong with that. 2 Canadian clubs here on the Sunday matinee in the NLL. Only game on the schedule. What's been an entertaining week 12. Billings spinning off the near boards. And pushed back, 14 on the shot clock. And what a nice job by Chris Corbeil tying up the rock forward there, making sure he didn't have a clear look. Ball trickling through the crease. And Corbeil coming up with it again. Dishes to Cornwall. Cornwall trying to catch Toronto off the break. It went for a one-touch dish and couldn't finish it. Conway. Both goaltenders being tested early and shining. Damon Edwards receives alone once, twice over the top. And that ball was dancing dangerously along that crease line.
That was the first look Toronto's had in transition there, and it was an excellent look. Boldy came up huge.
Alex Turner spinning back. Jimmy Quinlan, the captain, gets rid of it. Quinlan staying on the floor, interestingly enough. There's Turner. But underneath move, Toronto. Defense stifling right now. There's Zach Greer. He has one already. And scores! Make it 2! Zach Greer on fire at the Air Canada Center.
You know, he's on fire. He hasn't doused himself from last night. It started last night in Buffalo and it's come all the way down the QEW, and it's going on here in the afternoon in Toronto. Great little take on the inside, and he actually beats Rosie on the short side. I don't know if Rosie missed a step there, but Zach was able to pull that back short side.
And it seems with Zach Greer, especially in this game, is you give him that extra step, he's going to burn you. That stick handling is phenomenal.
And he's quick. He's got a great first step.
Minute 30 remaining in the first quarter. Edmonton making their way up the floor, have retaken that 2-goal lead. LaFontaine with the dish. Trying to set the pick on White. There's Matthews. Matthews galloping in like a stallion. Leaping, burying 5-2 Edmonton.
Just got a bit of head of steam there. Found, not sure the defender there. It looked like Whitey there on his left shoulder. And once he gets that head of steam going, there's no one that's going to step in that way, and he's not going to get a lane taken away from him. Great extension. Such a big body. Right around Nick Rose.
Absolutely in with it. 5-2. Toronto needing to keep this one close. Still, they have that cushion in the East, of course, at 2.5 games. Edmonton really playing for position as there's a 3-way tie for first in the West. Last minute of play in the first quarter. Toronto this season, when they've trailed after the first quarter, are 3-2. So a notable stat to keep an eye on there. There's Doyle with the dump intended for LeBlanc, was in behind him. Cornwall tying him up. 43 seconds left, a breakaway here. Over the top, and scores! Doyle unable to get back in time. And that's going to go to LaFontaine.
Johnny LaFontaine again comes down straight on Nick Rose and pulls him across, and Nick Rose isn't getting over to that short side. There's still a lot of net there in the top part, and I think he's going to be on a short leash here going into the second quarter.
Oh, good point there. It was 6-2 the score for Edmonton. LaFontaine's third goal. Stellar transition player, not known as a big goal scorer, but the talent, of course, in this league is so close. Anybody given a step is going to be quite dangerous. 30 seconds left, and here's again Zach Greer, reared back, and Rose was able to make the stop. Toronto on their heels. Jesse Gamble turning on the Jets. Caught in the referee circle to get over center. Make sure it wasn't calling that violation. 15 seconds left. Toronto is going to, they're going to call a timeout. There's some confusion. The Rock players are pointing fingers. We'll see what the call is.
I'm not sure what happened there, but the refs seemed confused.
Yeah, I thought there might have been a timeout, but now the referees are collaborating. We'll see if we can get a word, but Dan, one thing I'm sure the Toronto coaching staff will talk about is get more shots on Aaron Bold. They don't even have 10 shots, being outshot 22-8 right now.
You know, and we've seen this happen with Toronto before against stifling defenses, and they work their way in.
Yep.
Casey Burns will find his lanes, and so will Josh Sanderson. It's just a matter of being patient and sticking with the game plan.
2 seconds left, and a smashing hit. That was received by Ryan Dilks at the buzzer, and they're rolling on the ground. Not sure who the Rock player is there.
I'm going to go with Evans on this one.
And there, maybe Toronto trying to set a tone. And Metsky getting pushed a little bit. So with that, we'll step aside and come back for the second quarter. 6-2 the score. Edmonton Rush lead the Toronto Rock. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
I don't really know what the teams are like this year. I think for me it's always a case of just turning up and playing as well as you can on the day. I think looking at the team, like I've said, if we do that, I see no reason why we can't get at least to the semi-final.
The level of performance might be different, but in terms of the commitment of time and things, it's exactly the same. And in some ways for us, even if the commitment in terms of playing is less, the time commitment is huge because we don't have administrators and coaches that run our club for us. Which is, I think, something that maybe we've had Americans that come over and play for us, and it's something that they've, said that they've kind of taken for granted as something that just happens.
I mean, are we kidding me right now? Do you really think that you being...
From home, and that's quite impressive. They've had a great trip so far, 4 in a row, and some pushing and shoving right off the start here of the quarter.
Yep, Patrick Merrill and Thompson again, having some words after the face-off.
As Merrill going to the penalty box here.
Yep, and looks like Merrill's going to take that one-sided. Didn't get. I don't think he got the response he wanted from Thompson.
And of course, hashtag RockChat on Twitter and ask your questions to myself at AndyMC81 and Dan at DizzleD and the number 6 on Twitter. We'll read the best questions and comments out on the air. Already had one about who would win in a fight between Dan and Aaron Bold. I said Dan. That was my pick.
I appreciate it.
Over the top shot to Nick Rose, and he is stopped. And there's a long feed. Beautiful take by Edwards. Edwards all alone on Bold and went far corner. And it went out into the crowd, and that was a close one. Damon Edwards would love to have that one back.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Great job by Nick Rose getting that ball up and into play. It was a shot from the top on Mark Matthews. Good rebound control by Nick Rose and got it up to the speeding Damon Edwards and just couldn't convert.
There's Curtis Knight taking a rare penalty by the rookie from Whitby, Ontario. So I'm sure he has some friends and family in the crowd, as does Mark Matthews, both men growing up about an hour east of the city.
Curtis Knight's in home. We might have too many men on the floor.
And just over 30 seconds gone by in the second quarter. Toronto in their blue, red, and white uniforms. Edmonton, white, black, and silver. And you're right, Dan, too many men. Went from behind the back shot. And somehow Blaine Manning got a part of his stick on it and almost converted. Watch out for Metzke. Metzke burying it stick side. And Brett Metzke faked pass with his head and went with an over-the-top hurl. 7-2 Edmonton.
Again, in transition, Edmonton is going to just run at them consistently. And we talked about the potential of them sort of slowing down in the third and fourth quarter based on fatigue factor. But right now, they're taking it to them in the transition game. And, I mean, there's the difference, right? Edmonds comes down and isn't able to convert, and Metzke goes down. There's the difference maker.
And gets it done right there. Well, Toronto on the season 3-2 when trailing after the first quarter. Marshall being double-teamed was looking for someone to pass to. No one was open. Now he's being mauled. There's 3-on-2, Edmonton on Toronto. And the action getting a little nasty here at the Air Canada Centre. There's Johnny LaFontaine jogging over into the neutral zone.
That's classic Edmonton defense there, where they get a shoulder turn and a double and turns over a possession as well.
Damon Edwards has had a busy game so far. A couple breakaways, some solid D as well. Zach Greer making another move. Zach Greer making a hat trick. Zach Greer is unstoppable here tonight. Wow.
Just an individual effort here from Zach Greer. It's a great cutback into the middle there. He's driving down the lane, sees that the slide come and cuts into the middle, and lets a quick shot go. I don't think Rosie had a chance to prepare himself. And there's that short leash we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have Boychuk in for a little bit here, and it might just be to give a chance. We've seen Nick Rose be pulled in the past.
That's right.
Went to the bench and composed himself and came back and did a good job for Toronto. So we may be in the same sort of circumstance.
All part of being a young goaltender. And Nick Rose has done a great job since coming in last season. But yeah, has had his struggles from time to time. So we'll see if Boychuk can stop the bleeding, as Edmonton now has a 6-goal lead with 13:20 to go in the half. Stephen Hoare in the faceoff circle. And it seems like every faceoff has been a scrum and a battle. Going to be called Toronto ball after all that. There's Scott Johnson, number 88, underhand toss. He'll head to the bench. Toronto's captain, Colin Doyle. He has one tonight. Seeing if he can get something going. Good crowd here on Sunday afternoon at the Air Canada Centre. Garrett Billings, a bouncer and an awkward pass. Chris Corbeil now one-on-one with Colin Doyle. So Doyle caught on the floor in the transition. Pat Merrill out there too for Toronto. And Edmonton taking their time in the transition. 13 on the shot clock. 5 seconds left. They're killing off that too many men penalty. And it will do it. Curtis Knight comes back on the floor. And we're back to even strength here. And Edmonton doing a phenomenal job on that penalty kill, Dan. And it's been all rush so far this afternoon.
You know what? They're playing a pretty perfect game so far. I mean, a couple lapses that have ended up in the back of their net, but execution-wise, killing penalties, great ball control. They're playing really well.
Stefan LeBlanc, the big 6'2" forward, gets rid of it to the left side. Back to LeBlanc over the head top. His hands were hit as he let go of the ball. And there's Metzke again. Intercepted out for the moment, popped back out of the cradle. And Metzke will scoop up the ball one more time.
Great repossession by Edmonton. That could have gone the other way easily, but good effort for the repossession.
10 seconds on the shot clock. There's Zach Greer. He's drawing some extra attention. And that offering was redirected also. Fresh 30 for Toronto. Well, we're trying to get possession here. Chris Corbeil's not making it easy, that's for sure. Zach Greer, or Bill Greer rather, gets rid of it. It'll be Edmonton ball. 8-second violation on Toronto. Went for a bouncer well off the mark. And Mark Matthews already has a couple goals. And Dan, the interesting thing was Zach Greer's so hot. Have to be careful not to take your eyes off of Mark Matthews.
The Edmonton rush is a case of pick your poison.
Yeah.
And right now there's a lot of poison on that
A lot
floor.
of poison. And plenty of redirected shots here this afternoon. Another one, that offering came from Garrett Billings. Went 5-hole, denied by Aaron Bold. That was the 10th shot. Make that the 11th shot for Toronto only compared to Edmonton's 25. And are we going to, well, it looked like Evans wanted to go. And Jeremy Thompson didn't. He jogs to the bench. And the Boo Birds are out here at the ACC.
Yeah. Evans was a little upset about when he was making his drive to the net there. I think he thought he got a bit of a high hit. Went after the offender. I guess he thought it was Thompson and called him on it. And Thompson simply points to the scoreboard and says, not today, Scotty, not today.
So Scott Evans, a smart move by Thompson, an unpopular one by the home crowd, but a smart move for the Edmonton Rush. On another power play, they've scored on the power play. Zach Greer, I'm saying his name a lot tonight. Nice head fake by Matthews. Went to the weak side and a swing and a miss. Intended for Corey Small. Toronto rumbling up the floor on the other side. A 2-on-1. A bouncer. Did it go in? No, it bounced off the crossbar and right back down. That was close. That was very close.
Troy Cordingley looking for the rebound here real quick to see if he can get a challenge flag out. I don't think he's going to throw it after seeing that.
No, that's the right call. Good eyes by the officials. Edmonton coming right back. Minute 19 on the power play. Stopped by Boychuk. That Boychuk in for relief of Nick Rose. 8-2 the score for Edmonton and 10 minutes even to go in the second quarter. Merrill receives. Goes into the neutral zone. He'll wait for the forwards to get on the floor. This 6-goal lead by Edmonton has made the ACC crowd, and a large one, lethargic. Trying to get back into it here. Doyle with a one-handed toss intended for Bierns. The backdoor specialist could not convert. Edmonton racing up. 47 seconds left on the power play. Whoa, and Boychuk all spread out and covered every angle of the net except where the ball was, and it is 9-2 Edmonton.
And this league is not short on its irony. It's Thompson that goes down and scores on Evans' penalty in transition.
I'm sure Evans won't forget about that for the rest of this game.
No, I don't think he'll be allowed to.
I think he'll go. You might have words with Thompson later on, who gets some high fives, his sixth. So that is a 9-2 score now for Edmonton, and a second special teams convert on the power play by the Rush.
Again, a power play goal, but it's in transition, and again, Edmonton's going to continue to push this pace, and Toronto needs to find an answer to it.
Trying to find a shooting lane, went for a screen, and those big bodies on the Edmonton defense stopping it. A 2-on-1, Doyle being caught back just in behind Rubish. An excellent job by the captain getting back in time. Odd man here all alone, whipping it was Josh Sanderson. Unable to convert Sandy Chapman here. They're hacking at Rubish.
Sandy Chapman might have got away with a couple extra whacks on Rubish there.
8:45 remaining in the half. Shots 27-13 for Edmonton. The Rush trying to center up. Now moving into Toronto territory. Into the weak side. Waits up top. Went from behind. Dives. That's a shot clock violation. Edmonton. So Mark Matthews was seeing if he could sneak in behind Boychuk at the last moment. And with that, we'll step aside for the media timeout. 9-2 the score. Edmonton leading Toronto. 8:27 to go in the half. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
I mean, are we kidding me right now? Do you really think that you being on a phone and not...
After a 114-point campaign a year ago, The Rock alone! And Bold saves it with his toe. That could have been a huge momentum shift if The Rock would have scored there. Captain Jimmy Quinlan. Quinlan staying on the floor. He drops it to Ward. Now Quinlan hustles off. Curtis Knight looking for some room, backpedals. In tiptoeing along and trying for Ryan Ward. Couldn't get it done. Curtis Knight now winding his way through. That shot was off center, and he took a punishing blow from Chris White after he got rid of it. Shot clock violation. Toronto ball. Jesse Gamble. Jesse Gamble trips. Couldn't pick up the loose ball. Stumble over his own feet. He'll have to head to the bench. Toronto keeps possession anyway. 5:20 to go in the second quarter. Edmonton leads by 5. Shots 28-16 for the Rush. Josh Sanderson making his move, sets up in the high post, now moves back. Garrett Billings here on the left wing. Winding through. Finds room. Dives. Stopped by Bold. And a desperation dump out by Ryan Dilks.
It's the first time we've seen Edmonton sort of back on their heels. Toronto's got a little bit of momentum, and they're trying to use it. They're doing everything they can to keep this going.
Josh Sanderson with a dump. LeBlanc somehow receives it. Underhand whip. Nicely done, and Bold saw just enough at the last moment. There's Brett Minsky. He has 1 goal tonight. Edmonton getting set up. 16 on the shot clock. Going from right to left. And almost picked off. Corey Small now. 6 on the shot clock, being harassed. Toronto turning up the pressure behind the back. Tried to fool Boychuk. Didn't make it to the target. Fresh 30 for the Rock.
I'm going to look at that one again. That was a pass. That was a pass that Matthews took from the top. Backhand pass right down to the crease, and it was just a miscue on the crease. It was there.
Rock receive. 4:04 to go. Billings spins on the right wing. Doyle with the feed, picked off. And John LaFontaine, what a great game he's having. Johnny LaFontaine rumbling up the floor again. There's Toll. Toll waits, went high, and Boychuk stands tall. Caught in the crease, and a long outlet pass fielded by Edwards. Edwards rumbling in. Edwards going to the left side, waiting for help. Beautiful pass. Greer once, twice, over the top, and Bold. Shoulder stop. Heads up 8 rows in behind him at the Air Canada Centre. And with that, we will take a quick break. Lots of action here. 9-4, Edmonton leads Toronto. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
I don't really know what the teams are like this year. I think for me, it's always a case of just turning up and playing as well as you can on the day. I think looking at the team, like I've said, if we do that, I see no reason why we can't get at least to the semi-final.
The level of performance might be different, but in terms of the commitment of time and things, it's exactly the same. And in some ways for us, even if the commitment in terms of playing is less, the time commitment is huge because we don't have administrators and coaches that run our club for us. Which is, I think, something that maybe we've had Americans that come over and play for us, and it's something that they've, said that they've kind of taken for granted as something that just happens.
TLN SMS alerts are the best way to stay up to date with the latest videos from the Lacrosse Network. Be the first to know about all of our live games, giveaways, and videos by getting TLN alerts straight to your phone. To sign up, just click the phone icon in the top right corner of our channel and input your mobile phone number. Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network for the best in lacrosse content.
Honey, you do me wrong.
And here's Hebner, tries a shot, and he scores!
Falling down, Jake Card finds the back of the goal. What a beauty there.
Back, and that is going to count.
There's a shot and score!
Oh, there you go. Garrett Billings racing up, little trick shot over the shoulder.
In over the line comes Cameron Holding. There he scored!
That's going to show up on Sports Center, I'm sure.
Air Canada Centre here.
Look at that.
Andy McNamara alongside Dan Ladouceur. Thank you so much for joining us here on a Sunday afternoon. And the number 6, that's for Dan. Toronto trying to get some sort of momentum here. They've struggled, and part of the reason's been because Aaron Bold has been so spectacular. Nick Rose has been pulled in favor of Zach Boychuk. Sidearm rocket by Casey Behrens. Off the mark, and Bold caught out of his net. Has to come back. And a hard hit in behind. Scott Evans slow to get up.
A little awkward into the boards there from Evans, and he's up and back at it.
Stay on. Tough customer, Scott Evans. Going one-on-one with Johnny LaFontaine. Toronto trying to set the pick. Evans hacked. Hit hard by John Lintz. Lintz coming up. Drops to Demetsky. Once, twice, and Boychuk hugs that post. 2:30 to go in the second.
Little difference there between Boychuk in Rose, we mentioned earlier, going short side, Rosie wasn't finding that inside post, but Zach was able to get back there because Mintz did go to the short side, but Zach was able to get back, find that post, and make the stop.
Toronto and Stefan LeBlanc winding his way through. Stefan LeBlanc given some room, some space, but ran out of real estate, and now the ball went in after. Too many feet in the crease, obviously, but LeBlanc just didn't have enough room and had no choice but to put it right into the chest of Aaron Bold.
Aaron Bold gives him a little push after the whistle. Just policing his own territory. I'm not sure what the officials are going to make out of this.
And we'll see if we can answer a quick question. This one coming from Rose at Creeder number 25. If Edmonton and Toronto played in the championship, who would you put money on?
Oh, loaded question. Where are we playing?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do it from both angles. Let's say in Toronto first.
In Toronto, championship game, I got to put my money on Toronto. And then I think it's the same. You go to Edmonton in their barn, the Rexall. The teams are just they're so talented.
Yeah.
They're so very different, but they're so very potentially dangerous. And I like anytime, home team.
Home team for either. That's what Dan says. I'll give my opinion in a second after Garrett Billings has his helmet knocked off. And going right at it. And Toronto scores after Billings got manhandled. Toronto's going to get the goal. That's coming from Casey Bearns. And a hat trick. And you said it, Dan. Somebody has to step up and take control. Let's see if we can get another look at this.
I think that's good. I think we had Colin Doyle ripping
Colin
that
Doyle
one from the outside. A lot of attention and over on the righties there. It looks like the ball swings up to Colin Doyle and he lets it go an outside shot. And again, I don't know if Bold saw that, if he's rattled from being partially run in his crease. Not sure, but that's an uncharacteristic goal for him to give up from the outside if he did have a clean look at it.
Under 2 minutes to go. And so the goal is going to go to Toronto, 9-5. Troy Cordingley is, as you can see, don't read lips, folks, losing it on the bench, saying get the play underway.
Yeah, he wants a 5-minute high stick for that offense on
and
Billings.
It is from the captain, his second, you're right. Manning with the assist. And Garrett Billings with the other helper. For myself, I'm going to say Toronto either way in the championship game. I called them when they won the championship here, and when it comes right down to it in the championship battle, I put my money on Colin Doyle every day of the week.
A lot of experience there, that's for sure.
Big crunching hit on Matthews and behind the net. And still behind the net, I believe that was Greer and Matthews. A minute 15 to go. Toronto trying to turn the momentum that has been all Edmonton all afternoon. Went far side. Off the mark. Garrett Billings' attempt. Here's Dilks. He has one today, the defender. Last minute to play in the half. When trailing at the half, Toronto is 2-1 this season. 48 seconds. Went high. Boychuk was low, and a nice shot attempt by Jarrett Davis. Red Boychuk going down. The accuracy wasn't there, but the right idea. Shot clock violation, and Bill Greer and Sandy Chapman going at Jarrett Davis. Davis had his helmet trying to draw a penalty, it looks like. A Go Rock Go chant at the Air Canada Centre. 37.5 seconds left. Davis slow to get up. Action back underway. Doyle takes the blind pass over the top. Shot through the screen. Bold saw enough. Kyle Rubish here, and I didn't see what happened there. Lintz is slow to get up here. Had his helmet knocked off. Checking for blood. Did you see what happened there, Dan?
I didn't see what happened. He's looking for his chiclets is what he's doing. I know I've seen him before. I know he doesn't wear a mouth guard, so he does have proper concern there. I didn't see what happened, though. I know Derek Keenan's not happy on the bench right now.
I'd say wear a mouth guard. I'd probably wear two if I played, but that's why I'm not suiting up.
I don't understand the guys that don't, but.
Well, 9-5 is the score with 24 seconds left in the half. Edmonton leading. Doesn't look like there's going to be any penalty on the play here. Corbeil in the box for 28 more seconds for Edmonton. So the rush will try to kill the time, get into the half with that 4-goal lead. Toronto still within striking distance. 10 seconds to go. Edmonton maybe will try for one more chance. 4 seconds. One time, and went to thread the needle to Conway as time expires. Conway coming in the back door, couldn't do it. So at the half, Edmonton leads 9-5 over Toronto. We'll take this chance to answer a couple more Twitter questions there. Dan, let's see. We have one from Ryan McMichael at @trip_McNeely number 23 says at Dizzle D6. Let's stick with the fights, big dog. Mark Matthews or Shane Jackson?
Yeah.
Who do you think?
Oh, Trip. That's great. I know what you want to hear. You want to hear there are a couple of milk bags going at it. Who's going to come out on top of that one? I think it's Jackson with some sort of cheap shot, and I think you know I'm right.
Type of cheap shot. Let's see. Let's get one more in before the break. Let's see. Do we have one more? So we have this one comes from Evan and at Off Sprague. Says, Dan, what do you consider to be your proudest moment with the Toronto Rock? That's a great question.
That's a great question. Tough answer. I got to go back to the 2005 championship. We'd gone through some different coaching changes, and as a group to be able to come through some of that, some of the adversity, a lot of doubters, and as a group to come back to championship form. It's said a lot to the group of guys that were there, but there's so many things that this organization does, and being part of it is, they're doing great work still, and there's a lot of things that every guy involved in this organization can be proud of.
Winning tradition for sure with the Toronto Rock. With that, we will step aside at the half. The Edmonton Rush lead the Toronto Rock 9-5. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
Versus Buffalo, March 29th. For the best ticket in town, visit TorontoRock.com.
Toronto Rock Total Access airs Monday night on TSN 1050 Toronto at 7 p.m. Host Mike Hancock takes an in-depth look at the Rock each week with the player and coach interviews and previews what's on the horizon for your favorite team. Tune in each Monday night at 7 p.m. for Toronto Rock Total Access on TSN 1050 Toronto. Rock fans, please welcome to the ACC, the Innisfil Wolfpack, paperweights and flag.
Great moments are born from great opportunity.
No one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around. This is your
All right, ACC, the comeback has started, but it's not finished yet. Are you ready to do your part in the second half? Let the boys hear the noise of the Toronto Rock fans. Crank it up. Here we go.
This copyright telecast of the National Lacrosse League Incorporated may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the National Lacrosse League. Welcome back to the Air Canada Centre in Toronto. Andy McNamara alongside Dan Ladouceur. Action back underway here. Edmonton leading the Rock 9-5. Rock in their blue, red, and white uniforms. Rush in white, black, and silver. Shot clock violation on Toronto. And Dan, we had that Google Hangout during the half with our friend Samir at the Lacrosse Network. A great fan interaction, of course. Send us your tweets at AndyMC81 or at DizzleD6 using hashtag RockChat. We'll try to get to the best comments and questions throughout the game. Shots 31-21 in favor of the Edmonton Rush. It's been all about Zach Greer and big Mark Matthews, and Matthews muscling his way through again. I don't know what type of move that was, but he almost got it done.
Yeah, he just sort of backed down Sandy Chapman, size mismatch, and took him to the middle, but wasn't able to get all the way across and extend himself like he has in the past.
And it looks like Zach Boychuk remains in net for the Toronto Rock. Nick Rose being pulled, but Aaron Bold for Edmonton has been absolutely spectacular, cutting down the angles. And Bold's a big man. He's only listed at 6'2".
Over and back.
Yeah, but I remember last
Toronto,
season walking behind him in the hallway in equipment, and it was like an eclipse. Everything was blocked out. And he's a big man that can cut down angles.
And he is. He's great shape. He's a fitness instructor. He's takes care of his body and his mind. And I think that's what Coach Keenan loves about him is his professionalism as far as his mental and physical preparation.
There's Turner, tried for the screen. Got caught up in the back of Rob Marshall. Jesse Gamble receives on the move. And the Rock really have to try to get some momentum going early on and not let Edmonton get on a run. The Rush have dominated for most of this game. Scott Evans with the lob pass. Beers, he just reared back, and Aaron Bold had the ball caught in his pads. Casey Beers put absolutely everything he had behind that shot.
And they're getting their opportunities. We saw that earlier the shots were pretty lopsided, but Toronto's getting their opportunities now, but the difference is Bold.
And Matthews from right to left, and Boychuk had no chance having to go post to post. Matthews give him his third of the night.
Yeah, great look from any defense or any goaltender is going to find that the most difficult look from top down to goal line extended like that. And the pass was great right on Matthews' stick, and he puts it in. It's a very difficult move for Boychuk to make to get across here. He got 1 foot across low, but just not enough to stop that Matthews ball.
Well, now 3 goals from Greer, 3 from Matthews as well, and a scrum, and it's a 5-goal deficit for the Rock.
Edmonton goal, score by number 42.
Little off-ball foul there on Thompson. He's been taking his beats today, but getting the balls, and that's what a draw man does in this league, and he's got his fair share of them. Like I said, he's 5th in the league and near the top for loose balls with his squad, so very effective out there.
Absolutely. Edmonton looking for more, winding back again. And again, Edmonton has it trickle its way down. There's the captain, Quinlan. Quinlan, on-man rush. That may have gone off the edge of the nub of the stick there. Coming back again and count it. Too much Edmonton rush. And Chris Corbeil, the assistant captain, gets it done. The Rock defense is being manhandled right now. It's
a good look in transition there that the original stop was made, but they just kept coming in waves, and Toronto didn't have a chance to take inventory and get themselves set. They kept the ball hot, moving from east to west, and Corbeil finds himself, again, sitting on the edge of the crease. The ball goes east-west, and Corbeil's there with the answer.
Well, that's a great point, Dan.
Edmonton goal,
it was coming in waves. It was the one stop, and the defense just couldn't regroup.
Number 91,
Edmonton is looking like a championship caliber team right now.
43 seconds.
They're on a 4-game winning streak, all of them coming on the road. This is their 5th road game, and then they'll return home finally. Boychuk coming well out of his net to the near corner, and he's lost it. Ball loose. Boychuk going one-on-one with Thompson, and Thompson almost on a wide-open cage. Damon Edwards with a quick pass. He'll head off the floor. A large ACC crowd has been silenced because of this rush domination. Garrett Billings seeing if he can get anything going off the post. Bold was saved by Steele.
When you're seeing the ball and you're feeling it, that's the help you're going to get right there.
All right, ACC, we got a fresh 30.
Jogs over center, onto the left wing. Garrett Billings tackling his way through, gives to the captain, being pushed outside the line. Doyle trying to penetrate. Intended for LeBlanc, looked like it was there. Maybe LeBlanc didn't see it in time.
I think they called an off-ball foul there, a little bit of a moving pick, and knocked the defender right down and change of possession.
There's Corey Small, who had a 7-point night less than 24 hours ago in Buffalo. We'll see if any fatigue shows as the game wears on. And Boychuk squeezes that arm into his side, so that the Rush don't get their 12th goal of the game. Gamble now. Overhead toss, he'll head off.
Not the start that Toronto Rock wanted coming out of the half, out of the locker room. Still not a reason to panic just yet, but they definitely have their work cut out for them.
Down by 6. And triple teamed. And there's just that, it seems to be that wall that Toronto can't penetrate and get traffic in front of Bold. Scott Evans runs in, falls into the crease. Bold stood right there though, no traffic, no problem.
We've got an Edmonton penalty here, and it's going to go, with Evans driving to the net, they're going to call a hold here. And I don't know, I want to see the replay because I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. I don't think he took a hand off that stick. I thought he did a good job keeping up with his feet, but Toll's off for 2 for holding.
With that, we'll step aside. Edmonton leads Toronto 11-5, 9:38 to go in the 3rd. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
Never back down, gonna break through the wall.
Are we kidding me right now? You really think that you being on the phone and not listening to me is going to help you?
The Toronto Rock would like to send a special shout out to anyone celebrating a birthday with us tonight. Happy birthday!
I don't really know what the teams are like this year. I think for me it's always a case of just turning up and playing as well as you can on the day. I think looking at the team, like I've said, if we do that, I see no reason why we can't get at least to the semi-final.
The level of performance might be different, but in terms of the commitment of time and things, it's exactly the same. And in some ways for us, even if the commitment in terms of playing is less, the time commitment is huge because we don't have administrators and coaches that run our club for us, which is, I think, something that maybe we've had Americans that come over and play for us, so that they've, you know, so that they've kind of taken for granted as something that just happens.
NLL
Jurassic Park
have
3D.
been dominant all afternoon. They're up 11-5 on Toronto.
You know, not the game I was expecting. We were doing a little autograph session pre-game with the fans, and everyone coming through was really excited for this game. I told you I had it circled on my calendar. I did not expect to be sitting here at the start of the third quarter with a 6 different goal differential.
Well, send us your questions on Twitter. We'll answer the best ones on the air at AndyMC81 and at DizzleD and the number 6 using hashtag RockChat. So send those along.
Evident penalty to number 3, Jared
on
Toll,
the air.
2 minutes for a holding.
A lot on the line here. Edmonton and Toronto have both reached playoff spots, but it's all about positioning. Toronto on the power play. Pass intended for Bierns, got by him. Swung before he had the ball, and Metzke was all over. Billings. Metzke shot that again, but it trickled back. Yes. And Metzke may have actually been the cause of that one after making the first stop. It trickled in and got in behind Bowles. Power play goal, Toronto.
During the half, they were running the highlight packages, and I saw a goal by Colin Doyle from the outside, and I said it was uncharacteristic of Bowles, and it wasn't a clean goal. He got a piece of it, and it just snuck in on him, and same sort of thing here. Another one just, you know, kind of a garbage goal, sneaks in on him.
I think that's what Toronto might need in this game. Get those ones to get by Bold and try to get some sort of confidence.
They're not asking how, just how many.
That's right. There's another one there. Another look at the
Rock goal, power play goal, 2nd goal of the game and 23rd of the season. Scorer by number 13, Garrett
Billings gets the goal on the power play.
The assist,
second
number
power
16,
play. Helper going up for Boychuk,
Manning.
and they're going to count it. Boychuk
Time of the power play
wailing.
goal, 5 minutes, 49
Reach
seconds.
back, and we'll get another look
For
at
the
that
Rock
as they were
Billings,
announcing
2nd of
the
the
goal.
game, 23rd of the year from Manning on the power play.
Coach Quarterly having a good look at the
5:49.
replay here, looking to see if we can, any need for a challenge flag on this.
So Matthews dishes on the baseline. What do you think, Dan?
I don't think I'm going to waste it on that one.
Looks clean.
Looks pretty clean, and again, yep, I think, you know, Edmonton's using this east-west, goal line extended, beating the goaltenders low. Quick sticks, finding lanes. They're executing a very, very good game plan here.
So 12-6 to score, and the Rush have done a phenomenal job this game of not allowing Toronto to get on any sort of roll, where the Rock are the most dangerous at home. Whenever the Rock scored, it seems like Edmonton
scored by number 9,
back
Curtis
the other
Knight.
way. And that goes to Curtis Knight, in front of, I'm sure, many
number 91,
friends
Corey
and families.
Conway. Time of the goal, 6
GTA
minutes,
native.
7 seconds.
And a 3-on-1. How did that happen?
Edmonton
Edmonton Rush scooting in behind on the transition.
Matthews and
Toronto's so
Conway at
solid
6:07.
on the transition this year, but Edmonton getting their 13th goal there.
And that goal happens in the defensive end of Edmonton. Their pressure defense causes yet another turnover. And again, so young and athletic out of their own zone. They're looking at a 3-on-1 in transition.
And Chris Corbeil, the assistant captain, gets his first. And that's another one on Boychuk. Dan, in your mind, do we see Nick Rose come back into this game at some point, or will they just ride it out with Boychuk?
That's tough to say. I think Boychuk's moving better than Nick did, and he's really not, you know, he is making the stops that he should be making. Those ones are difficult stops.
Yeah. Shots 40-25 in favor of the Rush, and that's another area. The Rock just not shooting the ball enough and getting quality opportunities on Aaron Bold.
And credit the aggressive style defense that the Edmonton Rush are playing. They're putting a lot of ball pressure on out there and not giving any clean looks.
Absolutely. Stephen LeBlanc trying to wind his way through into double coverage, and Stephen LeBlanc, one of those players who can be held in check. He's a streaky player, but can score in bunches, and the Rock could really use him right now. Garrett Billings one-handing his way through. Behind the back toss. Almost heads into the Edmonton bench. 1 second on the shot clock. And the Rock are stymied by Edmonton's defense here tonight.
Even when that the double comes and the slide comes, even from the crease there, the pressure is so quick and there's such pressure on the hands that they can't make a clean pass to take advantage of the slide in the open man.
Edmonton seeing what they can do. Matthews bumping his way, being pressured back, trying for a swim move. Held in check by Edwards. Edwards is With 7:02 to go in the third quarter, 13-6 Edmonton.
Matthews giving it back to Edmonds a bit there. He's looking for a call.
The Rock captain Colin Doyle seeing if he can take the team on his back and get some sort of drive going. Colin Doyle, the beautiful pick set. Along the crease, he bobbled at the last moment, went far side, off the mark. Went in and out of the crease. 5 on the shot clock, all alone, scores! Stephen LeBlanc.
I'm not sure how Stephen LeBlanc got himself so open there, whether it was on a miscommunication or a pick, but great job finding him streaking down the middle. And like you said, he's one of those players, right? You really don't want him getting hot right now if you're the Edmonton Rush.
He can score in bunches, and this season what I've really liked about Stephen LeBlanc, Dan, is that he's turning up his physical play. He's not getting pushed around anymore. He's a big body at 6'2", over 200 pounds. So that's Stephen's 18th goal. Now let's see if number 17 can be a difference maker. Here's Thompson winding his way through. Boychuk got in the way. Net knocked off, and Thompson being double teamed there. The Rock team players obviously not liking that he turned down a fight with Scott Evans. Whoa! And I don't think Scott Johnson's letting Thompson get away. He's got that cage. He's saying, you got away from Scott Evans, you're not getting away from me. And Thompson with that long ponytail doesn't seem like he's too interested in fighting, staying very close to Johnson, and Johnson getting a big left hand in. Still has the cage on. Johnson not giving Thompson a chance to escape. Thompson throwing an uppercut and an overhand of his own. This is the first fight we've actually seen at the ACC this season. And Thompson throwing some big haymakers. Oh, and a DDT! Jake the Snake Roberts coming alive here at the Air Canada Center as Thompson and Johnson fall down. And let's see, Dan, if that can be the momentum turning swing and the emotional swing that the Rock were looking for.
I don't know. If I'm sitting back and, Thompson was targeted before. He didn't fight, Evie. They took exception that he entered the crease there towards Boychuk, and, he might not have been willing to at first, but, when it came time, he stepped in there.
He did. He didn't. He was hesitant, but
he did a good job. I don't know. I know what Toronto's trying to do. I just don't know if that was what they needed.
And that at first looked like Johnson was going to get the better, but I'd argue that could have been a draw at the end of it.
Yeah, I might call that one a draw. And let's face it, Toronto just scored a goal there, and right away in transition, another good Edmonton opportunity. And that's what we said. They keep having an answer.
Absolutely. So we'll see what that does. If that does swing the momentum for Toronto. And Manning, they're going right after Bold. And that's what Toronto has to do, attack after that emotional fight there between Johnson and Thompson. I'll give it to Johnson on points because he pulled out the Jake the Snake 80s DDT. What more do you want, huh? Come on. 5:55 to go in the third quarter. That made my night anyway.
Wins on style.
That's right. Corey Small winding back, circling, gets rid of it outside the line. There's Curtis Knight. He already has a goal. Curtis Knight trying to get away from Sandy Chapman and dishes it. Bouncer to Small. Small looking for a lane. Went through the screen in the feet of Zach Boychuk. And Toronto, Sandy Chapman galloping up the floor here. Stops outside the line in the neutral zone. We'll wait for the transition.
We saw Curtis Knight limp off the floor after that last set. He didn't finish the offensive possession. That's not a good sign for Edmonton.
And hopefully he's okay. Garrett Billings went for the stick side post. Bold was up to the task, and Aaron Bold has been spectacular here tonight. Doyle right on, and no rebound. Bold doing a very nice job tonight of controlling the rebounds too, Dan. You don't see too many popping back out.
No, and he's getting the ball up and moving quickly. He's just playing a great game. Every time there's momentum built against him, he has an answer, and that's what you expect of a veteran goaltender like that.
Matthews heads in behind the net, now back to the baseline. And that ball got knocked free. Looking for Conway and Greer. I think that hit the post, but Boychuk went down into the splits anyway. Great effort, and neither team is giving up an inch here. Greer coming right back, and Edmonton being ferocious with the pressure with a 13-7 lead. Captain Quinlan receives in the neutral zone. He will now head off the floor. Zach Greer taking his time, 15 on the shot clock. Matthews trying to set a pick. And there's Ryan Ward. That's another grinding forward you have to keep an eye on. He can pop some in too.
I was thinking about that at the half. He's been awful quiet this game so far.
Corey Conway and a shot clock violation. Toronto will get a fresh 30 after we take the media break. What a hectic third quarter. Edmonton leads the Rock 13-7. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
I don't really know what the teams are like this year. I think for me it's always a case of just turning up and playing as well as you can on the day. I think looking at the team, like I've said, if we do that, I see no reason why we can't get at least to the semi-final.
The level of performance might be different, but in terms of the commitment of time and things, it's exactly the same. And in some ways for us, even if the commitment in terms of playing is less, the time commitment is huge because we don't have administrators and coaches that run our club for us. Which is, I think, something that maybe we've had Americans that come over and play for us, and it's something that they've, said that they've kind of taken for granted as something that just happens.
TLN SMS alerts are the best way to stay up to date with the latest videos from the Lacrosse Network. Be the first to know about all of our live games, giveaways, and videos by getting TLN alerts straight to your phone. To sign up, just click the phone icon in the top right corner of our channel and input your mobile phone number. Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network for the best in lacrosse content.
Honey, you do me wrong.
And here's Hamner tries a shot, and he scores!
Falling down, Jay Card finds the back of the goal. What a beauty there.
Back, and that is going to count.
There's a shot and score!
Oh, there you go, Garrett Billings.
NLL Radio offers the best online radio coverage
shoulder.
of the National Lacrosse League.
In over the line
now
comes
listen to
Cameron Holding.
NLL Radio on your smartphone. Just download the
That's
popular
going to show up on
radio app.
Sports
That's
Center, I'm
Tune
sure.
In and find
Look
NLL
at that.
Radio under the More Sports section. Hear the latest episode of every show anytime on your phone. For more information, visit NLL.com/radio. Andy McNamara alongside Dan Lattiser. We got a great one here at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto. A Canadian battle. Edmonton Rush leading the Toronto Rock 13-7. There was that rumble we saw between Scott Johnson and Jeremy Thompson. Didn't seem to stifle Edmonton's attacker strategy at all. There's Josh Sanderson winding his way through. Found a lane. Was double teamed at the last moment by Rubish. And the difference really, Dan, to me, has been that Toronto has been unable for the most part to get any traffic in front of Aaron Bold. Now here's a 2-on-1 in behind and scores! And the other factor, the transition. And Edmonton exploits that one more time.
Yeah, again, you're almost tired of saying it. You see Kyle Rubish just attack Zach there, gets him frozen, and then is patient with the ball, hangs him out, dangles him, comes short side, and I said earlier I thought Zach was moving a little bit better. You could see his feet were planted there, and he made a desperation sort of swing. Wasn't able to move to that short side at all.
Well, Rubish's second goal of the year, and that's at least the fourth time that we've seen a 2-on-1 or an odd man rush on the transition, and that's an area that Toronto really improved on for the most part of this year, Dan, and Edmonton's just exploiting it.
And I think we're looking at one of the premier transition teams in the league as well, though.
Absolutely. And Casey Byrnes lets a laser go. It was off the mark. And there's Garrett Billings looking for a lane through the screen, and again missing, and maybe some frustration coming into Toronto as the shot clock expires. The accuracy has been off for Toronto tonight.
Yeah, and again, I think it's credit to some of that on-ball pressure that the Edmonton Rush, they're not giving them any clean looks. There's no way that they're going to stand, have an uncontested shot. There's a stick on their hands. It's in the lane, whatever the case may be. It's not a clean look, and that affects, obviously, the accuracy.
Oh, great point. Under 3 minutes to go in that third quarter. Matthews on the near boards, moving into the lane, over the top of the screen. A rare miss by Matthews. And watch out for Ryan Ward. I think you said there was only one assist for him, and Matthews couldn't get it done. Boychuk doing a phenomenal job going post to post. There's Belton. Belton, the rookie. The only draft pick to make the roster this season from Toronto's draft picks. He'll race off the floor. It was the NLL Rookie of the Week for Week 11. 2:16 left in the quarter. The Rock, seeing if they can do anything to solve Aaron Bold. Still no traffic in front of the goaltender. Picked off. Pass intended for LeBlanc. Here come the rush. A drop pass intended for Corbeil. And it was wide. Under 2 minutes to go. As I believe that was Jarrett Toll. Could feel the bodies coming behind him. Decided to pass at the last moment. 19 on the shot clock for Toronto. Kicked back to LeBlanc. He moves to the right wing. LeBlanc trying to spin his way in. Being kept out by Dilks. Pass over the top of the head of Sanderson. He's trying to corral it. And that's another thing, Dan, that Toronto's passing has been off. Their accuracy's been off. It seems like Edmonton's in their head a little bit here.
They can't seem to get any sort of flow going.
No.
And we mentioned it when they do get some momentum, they Boldy stands back up, or the Edmonton offense goes and jars one of their own. So it's tough to get for something going for them.
Minute 15 remains. Here's Conway outside the line, the center. Decides for Turner. Turner pushed back. Fails to click with Greer. And the rock, that's Cam Woods. Last minute of play in the third. Threads the needle. And scores! I thought he was going to pass it, Jesse Gamble. So did Bold. And Gamble gives Toronto their 8th goal.
I think everybody thought he was going to pass that one. That's a
beautiful goal.
Little crippler on Aaron Bold there, and I know that he wants that one back.
Well, Gamble, not the biggest guy, 5'9", 180, but he's fast and he has an excellent accuracy on his shot, a sniper-type shot. And that's Gamble's 8th goal. And a key one. Last minute of play. Toronto has to start scoring in bunches here, Dan. I can't remember the last time they had back-to-back goals in this game. I don't know if they have.
I think it happened one time in the second quarter, and they started to get a bit of momentum there, and we called it.
And then Edmonton breaks it. And there's Small. Sent back to Matthews. Took his eye off the ball for a moment. Ball rolling down. Now it's a foot race. And Boldo's coming way out of the net. Chris White, a couple steps too slow. 24 seconds. Edmonton trying for one more. And Boychuk going way down. All sprawled out, taking himself out of position. Shot clock violation. Toronto ball. Boychuk heading to the bench. Extra man on for Toronto in the third quarter. They trail 14-8. Scott Evans with the ball. Make that Garrett Billings with the ball. And now back, behind the back pass. 3 seconds left. 10 for Billings. And Behrens was there for the rebound. Went for it, and that is no goal on the baseline. Scott Evans there. If they would have had one more second, it would have counted. But it's not to be. So we'll step aside quickly. If you have questions or comments on Twitter, you can ask myself or Dan at AndyMC81 or at DizzleD and the number 6. Use hashtag RockChat. 14-8 Edmonton up on Toronto. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
And here's Hebner tries a shot, and he scores.
Falling down, Jay Card finds the back of the goal. What a beauty there.
Coming back, and that is going to count.
There's a shot and score!
Oh, there you go. Garrett Billings racing up. Little trick shot over the shoulder.
In over the line comes Cameron Holding. There he scored!
That's going to show up on SportsCenter, I'm sure.
There's Conway. Conway one-handing his way through. Talk about splitting the defense. Kicked it back. Conway down in the crease, still down. His helmet's off. And going high, Conway not getting up. And at first, Dan, I thought it might have looked like a flop, but Conway's still on the ground.
I missed that play because right now the Rock's playing a little bit of high risk, high reward. They're electing to go 4-on-4 in their own zone, leaving Colin Doyle and one of the Edmonton defenders up in the Edmonton zone. So reward, they want that quick transition. We're going to see have to see how it pans out for Toronto.
Oh, absolutely, and being down by 5 goals, it's still plenty of time left in lacrosse, of course, with 13:21, but the way Edmonton's been playing, it's almost like you have to turn it up now, like you're in the final 5 minutes to get back into it.
You just can't wait at this point. With five goals, you can't wait.
Back to even strength here off that power play goal by Josh Sanderson. Colin Doyle clicks with LeBlanc. LeBlanc stutter steps back. He's forced into the near boards. Pass over the head of Billings. Nice interference set by Bierns. Pass off the mark to Billings again. And scooped up by Johnny LaFontaine. Edmonton with a 5-goal lead. Rubish dishes and he'll head to the bench. Offensive Edmonton on the floor. They've been great so far. Blind pass and an open look. Went through the screen on Boychuk. Juicy rebound. And Curtis Knight couldn't get his own shot. Damon Edwards one-on-one. Damon Edwards has Bill Greer with him. Drop to Greer. Spins on the baseline. And Scott Evans couldn't bury it. Bold read it all the way. And was able to scamper over. Here's Metzke. Jogging over center into Toronto territory. 12:16 left in the fourth quarter. What a game it's been between the best record of Toronto and the hottest team in the league in Edmonton. 4-game road winning streak. Looking for number 5. And Davis off the mark trying to get that long rebound. That's been a difference. Bull not giving up those rebounds. There's a 2-on-2 rush. Gamble. Back and through the legs of his teammate Billings. Could not connect. LeBlanc gets the loose ball, however. And LeBlanc will set up as Josh Sanderson dishes to the left side. Blaine Manning winding his way through. Push back, and that would have been a perfect opportunity as Bierns was all alone in front of Aaron Bold. Snuck in behind. Overhand rocket. Billings couldn't connect. Edmonton ball.
My friend Trip McNeely reminded me as well that the key difference so far in this game, who's part of this championship, could be a championship run for the Edmonton Rush.
Yeah.
Aaron Bold.
Hey, he's playing like it. 4th best goals against average coming into this game, behind Nick Rose, who was in 2nd. There's Curtis Knight. Curtis Knight rolling along the ball on the carpet, and there's a Edmonton have been providing at even strength, never mind on it with the extra man. Doesn't bode well for Toronto with 10:37 to go and down by 5 goals. Edmonton being very calculated, working it around the top of the arc behind the back pass just outside the crease. In the slot for Conway. Fake dish and went over the top wide. Mark Matthews keeps it on. Waits, plants the foot, and Boychuk got a little bit of it. Edmonton resetting again. Fresh 30 on the clock. Minute 25 to kill for Toronto. And hit crossbar. That goes 8 or 9 rows up here at the Air Canada Centre. Corey Conway denied by steal. Edmonton ball still. Have a look at this. Oh. Wow. So at 9:55, we will take the break and come back. 14-9, Edmonton leads Toronto. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
I mean, are we kidding me right now? Do you really think that you being on a phone and
I don't really know what the teams are like this year. I think for me it's always a case of just turning up and playing as well as you can on the day. I think looking at the team, like I've said, if we do that, I see no reason why we can't get at least to the semi-final.
The level of performance might be different, but in terms of the commitment of time and things, it's
the next
exactly
Toronto
the
Rock
same.
home game is
And in
on
some
Friday,
ways,
March
even if
29, as the Rock hosts the Buffalo Bandits. Here's the Air Canada Centre. Game time is 7 p.m. For tickets, visit TorontoRock.com. Those are always great battles, Toronto and Buffalo. Andy McNamara alongside Dan Ladisser at the Air Canada Centre. Edmonton leading 14-9. Let's get another Twitter question in. It's from @LacrosseWeTrust. Who do you think is the best GM in the NLL? Are we seeing the top two tonight? What do you think, Dan?
I think we are. We talked already about Derek Keenan and how he's sort of built this team, and when he got the pieces and it wasn't going right, he inserted himself. And Terry Sanderson the same way. He works very hard in the offseason. And you'll see both of these guys in arenas all over Ontario all summer, scouting out talent and building and projecting to where they need to be in the draft a few 2-3 years down the road. And you want to talk about longevity, you can look at a guy like Steve Govett, done a lot of things, good things in this league. So I think we're seeing a couple of the top two and some great GMs out there that are giving a lot to this game.
Minute 10 on the power play for Edmonton. Going again, and Boychuk, 2 huge stops. Boychuk playing well in relief of Nick Rose. Long feed. Can he get a shot off? He does. But not enough to get by Bold. And Bold trying to break up the drive. Lob outlet pass. Finds Thompson. Forgotten to do that rumble earlier with Scott Johnston. 9:18 remaining in the fourth quarter. Toronto still trailing by 5, and now have to kill off still 35 seconds on the power play. Both clubs have converted twice with the man advantage. Edmonton trying to make it 3 times. Ball knocked loose. And Toronto will try to eat up that remaining 20 seconds. The penalty and the shot clock are pretty even, but a second apart.
I think Boychuk's doing what he needs to do in the defensive end to give Toronto a look here.
Yeah.
He's making the stops that he needs to make, and hopefully they can build some momentum off of his defensive play back there.
2 seconds left. Stephen LeBlanc, ball knocked loose. Picked up by Edmonton, but we are back to even strength, so the penalty on White is over. Back to 5-on-5. 52-35, the shots in favor of Edmonton. Toronto has not been able to consistently get pressure in front of Aaron Bold and create those screens and traffic needed to beat a goaltender of Bold's quality. And turnover. Rock will get it here. Rock all alone. Rock over the top, scores! Garrett Billings coming off the bench.
Seemed to me that was a late possession call on an illegal screen. And the way the league is structured now, where you drop the ball and pick it up and go, the Rock textbook taking advantage of that situation. You hit Garrett Billings coming off the bench, and I know Bold wasn't too comfortable with that situation.
Well, a hat trick for Garrett Billings. Keeps getting it done for Toronto. Another great game and a loose ball scramble. Toronto came up with it. It's going to be Edmonton ball, though, on that infraction. You see a replay of the goal by Billings, scooting off the bench. And now Toronto down by 4. Next goal, very important here, and looks like another penalty is going to come to Toronto as Bold jogs to the bench, so extra man on, and that's a momentum killer for Toronto. Curtis Knight steps inside, fakes the shot, gives it away. Cornwall repositions, and a stop by a Boychuk. A holding call.
It's It's actually gonna be a slash, Andy, to Stephen
a slash.
Hoare. Slash to Stephen Hoare on the on off ball. He took
That's
a
right.
slash, a whack at Mark Matthews. Kind of away from the play. Thinks Matthews got a little high on him and gave him a slash back. Of course, we know the second one always gets seen and called.
Yeah, well, and an untimely penalty just when you think the momentum is going to turn in favor of the Rock, a penalty happens or Edmonton comes back, and this will be a tough one after Toronto just killed off a 2-minute penalty. They'll have to come right back and do it again.
Toronto's going to need a shorty or a good kill here, and then they got their work cut out for them. That'll leave them with 5 minutes left.
Absolutely. 7:07 to go. Failed to click on the right side. Ball swatted down by Chris White. Boychuk here. Long outlet pass taken by Greer. A 2-on-1. Can Toronto take advantage? That pass too hard for Garrett Billings.
In trouble, I think you got to sort of push this tempo, push the ball.
Ryan Ward, who's had a quiet game but is very capable of breaking out. Zach Greer receives in Toronto territory. Nice behind the back pass. Taken up by Small. And desperation shove by Chris White. Edmonton keeps the ball. 50 seconds left to kill for the Rock. Edmonton going from right to left on your screen. 6:07 to go. And Ward in behind Boychuk. It wiggled away. Boychuk was able to fall on it at the very last moment. Here's Greer, 36 seconds. Bill Greer stumbled and got the pass off, though.
Turf monster jumped up and got Bill Greer there.
Well, we saw that happen to Jesse Gamble earlier as well, but on the near boards. Stephen LeBlanc on the right wing. 7 left on the shot clock. 14 on the penalty. And Billings was nailed. Players falling all over the place. Bodies hitting the floor. Edmonton ball. 5 seconds left. Short-handed are Toronto. The Rush trying for one last opportunity. Back to even strength. Stephen Hoare rushing up the floor. And now it's all about time management for Edmonton. Still wanting more, and hey, they got it right there. Edmonton with a long shot. And give that to Corey Small. What a great weekend for Corey Small.
Yeah, he's had a huge weekend. Small man has a big weekend for the Edmonton Rush. And, you know, again, you had Garrett Billings down in the Edmonton zone. The Rock's choosing to play 4-on-4. And a guy small, quick like Small, and he's going to find himself some space and opportunity. And it wasn't anything big, just got a little bit of a gap on his defender and fired the ball.
Small's first of the night, had a 7-point night yesterday in Buffalo. And Small just an overhand chuck and plain old beat Boychuk. And Boychuk's racing out of the net here. Extra man on for Toronto. Toronto trailing by 5 again, under 5 minutes. Can the Rock mount a comeback and get their 9th win? Billings' shot is blocked. Chris Corbeil was the culprit there, and with the open net, could this ice it? Coming back, Colin Doyle playing some goalie. And couldn't make the stop. Great effort by the captain, though. The 16th goal for the Rush.
Again, you know, Toronto's forced into this position, and Coach Cordingley's got to start pulling Zach, and it's a long change for Zach. And, you know, with the way that Edmonton plays that aggressive style and pressure defense, turnovers are plenty, and there's no way that they can get Zach back in net. And we see exactly what happens when they have that turnover.
Well, Kyle Rubich is second of the night on the, it will be considered an empty netter, but Colin Doyle, he did his best in there. It didn't quite have the padding that Boychuk does, and an outside shot by Sanderson, not going to beat Bold.
He's a gamer.
Absolutely. LeBlanc with a nice swim move. Unable to get bodies in front of Aaron Bold, and he's been able to see the majority of them.
Yeah, and we know what kind of quality Aaron Bold is. If he's seeing that ball, you know, He's going to make the stops that he has to, and you're going to beat him on those quick sticks, but he's been the answer for Edmonton.
Absolutely. Watch out for Curtis Knight diving in the back. And Corey Small gets his second, his back-to-back goal. Put that on the highlight reel.
Yeah, you're going to want to watch NLL.com and see that on the highlight reel. Fantastic feed. And Corey Small, I don't know how he has a presence of mind so close to the crease there to catch that ball, get airborne before he makes a crease violation, and still find Twine. Unbelievable.
Great goal, his 21st, and he's putting together a nice weekend, and I think Corey Small might be making a case for Player of the Week, Offensive Player of the Week here for Week 12. Bill Greer, no quitting that guy. Double team, knocked free. Bold recovers. 3:27 to go, and it'll take a miracle here. If you want your questions answered, you might be able to get one more in on Twitter. Use hashtag RockChat. And you can tweet at AndyMC81 or Dan at DizzleD and the number 6 using hashtag RockChat. We'll see if we can get one more in before the end of the game. Thanks for everybody for participating here on the Lacrosse Network. It's been a fun night for a crowd in Toronto. Announced at just a bit under 10,000. Seems like a lot more here than that tonight, but shot clock violation. And 3 minutes to go. We'll step aside the last media timeout. Still a lot of lacrosse to play. 17-10, Edmonton leads Toronto. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
And here's Hebner, tries a shot, and he scores!
Falling down, Jay Card finds the back of the goal. What a beauty there.
Coming back, and that is going to count.
There's a shot and score!
Oh, there you go. Garrett Billings racing up. Little trick shot over the shoulder.
In over the line comes Cameron Holding. There he scores!
That's going to show up on SportsCenter, I'm sure. And look at that.
I mean, are we kidding me right now? Do you really think that you being on a phone and not listening?
I don't really know what the teams are like this year. I think for me it's always a case of just turning up and playing as well as you can on the day. I think looking at the team, like I've said, if we do that, I see no reason why we can't get at least to the semi-final.
The level of performance might be different, but in terms of the commitment of time and things, it's exactly the same. And in some ways for us, even if the commitment in terms of playing is less, the time commitment is huge because we don't have administrators and coaches that run our club for us. Which is, I think, saying that maybe we've had Americans that come over and play for us.
Did you miss the big goal that everyone was talking about last week? Don't sweat it. Visit the Lacrosse Network. .com/the Lacrosse Network. Andy McNamara alongside Dan Ladisser at the Air Canada Centre. The Toronto Rock scoring their 11th of the day at 2:50 left in the game. But is it too little, too late, Dan?
I'd like to say no. I'm thinking yes. Great move by Colin Doyle.
Captain
takes I think it was Cornwall back. Just slips him through the back door there, and he makes no mistake coming across. Little underhand, 5-hole.
That's Colin Doyle's third goal of the night, so a hat trick, his 20th goal of the season, and 66th point of 2013. So the captain still getting it done. He's also third in the league in assists at 46. The captain just keeps doing it, Colin Doyle. Stephen LeBlanc with another helper. 2:27 to go. The Rock trail by 6 to Edmonton. Shots 57-39 for Edmonton. Curtis Knight. Himself fell in the crease and bold, was able to stand tall and stop it. A minute 50 remaining in the game. 6-goal deficit for Toronto. Ward playing catch with Greer. And Edmonton, time management, using the clock, went top shelf on Boychik with 1 second left. And they'll have to drop it as the 30-second runs out. It's Rock possession here. Damon Edwards, underhand toss, he'll head off. Toronto's offense on here. Stephen LeBlanc sidestepping. After this one, the Rock will fall to 8-4. Edmonton improving to 8-5. Whoa, and a beautiful goal on the sidearm feed. Casey Bearns, 17-12 with a minute 10 left.
You know, rewind to Colin Doyle's goal and fast forward to Casey Bearns, same thing. Again, in that low position, Casey just finds his defender's back. Maybe catches him ball washing a little bit, sees the back of his helmet and takes off. Great feed from the top into Casey Bearns. And again, we've already talked about how good his hands are inside there.
Look at Scott Evans. A nice feed. Sidearm, so Bull didn't see it coming, and then Bearns able to bury it. So Bearns with the hat trick. 3 Rock players have triples. Doyle, Billings, and now Bearns. Last minute of play in the game. 24th of the year for Casey Bearns. Another quietly excellent year for Casey Bearns. Never seems to get all the attention, but always racks up goals. Long toss, and the pass was high, intended for Manning. 36 seconds to go. Bodies flying. In for Bold. And Conway rumbling up the floor, holds back. 28 seconds to go, 22 on the shot clock. Double teams, and the Rock not giving up physically. They want to get as many as possible here. 18 seconds, and Edmonton has obviously taken their foot off the gas. 12 seconds to go, 7 on the shot clock. So Rock will get one final possession for a couple seconds. Conway dumps it, gets a shove from Edwards. 4 seconds to go. And can Toronto maybe get one more? 1 second left, and that will do it. 17-12. Edmonton over Toronto. Couple things here, Dan. The Rush break the curse. They've never won in this building before. They do so in a dominating fashion here tonight. But more importantly for Edmonton, they break the 3-way tie in the West. Edmonton now moves to first place at 8-5. Toronto falls to 8-4. Now they still had, coming into this one, a 2.5-game lead over second place Philadelphia. So they still had that cushion. But for Edmonton, how important is this win?
I think this win is massive for Edmonton. Set aside the points, set aside the 4 points that they got, and tee up actually how they accomplished it. And they go into Bandit Land and they dominate the Bandits. They come into the ACC and they did dominate the Toronto Rock tonight.